Hey guys, it's Tiny Tom Logan back with another video for you, and today, well, I've got something a little special for you. It's something quite rare, a lot rarer than I'm generally used to having, in that, you know, there really isn't very many of these at all, and probably won't ever be as well. What is it? It's the InWin H Tower, and if you've not seen it, it's not so much that you've been hiding under a rock. It's not been massively well publicised. I mean, I remember the first time that I saw this was last August. So we're talking like 8 months ago was the first time I saw it at a show, and it was empty. But they're now coming to retail. And it's the, like I said, it's the InWin H Tower. Now, if you don't know what this case's party piece is, then I'm just going to open the app, because the case is Bluetooth. Just going to connect to it. And then what I will do is I will just let this go on in the background so that you can get a gist of what the party piece is. But it's an all aluminium case. It costs £1,900. Yes, the case costs £1,900. I think in USD you're going to be looking at something like $2,400, $2,500. But it is a motorised case that's got all lasers and all kinds of stuff going on in it. As I've already said, it's Bluetooth. You can control it from a mobile phone app as well as switches. But really what we need to do is, now it's done that, I suppose I can just close it in the background, is we really need to get down and do a proper TTL case review with it and see, is it going to be worth that huge price tag? I really looked round too soon then, didn't I? Wasn't good with the timing. So for the most part, I'm going to try and treat this as much as I can like a normal case review, and then we'll go into all the bonkers, in-depth stuff later on. So, when you look at the front, you have a power and a reset switch. Now, the power and the reset switch, straight away, to me, is, you know, like someone that's slightly more old school and, you know, likes messing around with cases. These are what I would call aftermarket Vandal switches, and we used to call them Lamptron switches. But they've got a lovely, lovely click. I actually haven't got them connected inside at the moment because there's something that I'm going to show you later on in the video. There, power and reset switch. You've got a little dot one there, which is a slightly smaller one. I think this is a 19mm switch. You'll know what I mean by that if you've ever bought these. And then you've got a 22mm ring one there rather than the dot one. Then we've got the first case that I've ever seen with a USB 3.1 connector on the front. And then we have 3 USB 3s. And then you've got a microphone and a headphone slot. Now, this on the front does mean that it does have 2 USB 3 internal headers. This port and this port are on one cable, this port and this port are on the other cable. So it does mean that you're going to need a motherboard with 2 internal USB 3 connectors on the board. Now, the board that we're using does, and a lot more of them that are coming out do now, but it is something that you will need to keep in mind. Down on the bottom, we have 3 more switches, and this is actually to do with the movement of the case itself. This switch is to open, this switch is to do all of the laser check-in, and this switch is to close. You can see that we've got a laser switch here, and they're on all 4 sides. And I'll show you better what they look like when we do the dark section. There is also just a section here, a danger sticker as well, because there obviously are moving parts. But like I said, this is one of the lasers here, and there are 1 on each side, and they're in the middle of each panel, and just keep an eye out for them as we work our way around. This kind of angle of view is just to give you an idea of how this case is put together. It is totally open. Obviously you've seen it all open up already, but it does mean that you've got all the gaps all around the outside. So you could say that this is very good for airflow. You could also say that it's very poor for dust. There's lots of ways to look at it, and it's totally up to you know, your own personal preference. But the model that I've got is the Republic of Gamers model. This was the version that they've shown me. This means that you get the red accents on the inside, and it's ROG certified, they say. You've got some rog patterning down here, which is actually showing up really nicely in the light. There is another model, which is I'll say a gunmetal grey, they say titanium colour, and that one has full RGB LEDs as well. So it's going to depend, again, you've got two models that you can choose from. We'll discuss my personal thoughts on the difference between the two. One thing I will say is up here is a stop switch, and if you hit that stop switch, it stops the case from its current movement, and until you press it again, it won't move again at all either. It's pretty much like a, sort of like a panic button. If you're wondering why I'm not moving the case around too much, it does weigh a ton, so I'm trying not to move it too many times. It's also, it's actually a bit fragile as well, which I'll show you more again later on. We're now round the back of the case and round the bottom, and this is the power connector. Now this isn't the power connector that drives the actual PC itself, this is just the power connector for the case. So yes, we have a case with its own dedicated power supply. There are also two switches around here. The top one is to enable or disable the lasers, and the second switch is to enable or disable the lights. You can actually control both of those options in the Bluetooth app as well, but that switch will, if you disable them, will actually override the app. If we slide up, we get another look at the red anodized aluminium internals. Now we've got the power supply at the bottom. As we go up, you can see that we've got what I normally call the PCI slots. Sliding further up still, we come to the back of the case, the I/O area, and something here that should stand out is there is no what we would normally call your exhaust fan at the back. There are actually no active fans that come with the case at all. So a good side-on look at the case itself. You can see that it's kind of made up in 4 panels each side, and these all actually do move kind of independently and come out and almost open up like a flower, which is kind of nice. Like I said, we have the ROG model, which is the black and red version. There is another version, the titanium version, where the panels are all grey, and like I've said already, you have the RGB LEDs. Now would be a really good time for us to move on to the dark section, where we're going to show you all the lasers and the lights and movement and a better look underneath. But we will come back to this daylight section so that I can give you a good rundown on actually what's inside and the build and different views. Okay, so I have mentioned that there is an app which you can control the case with via Bluetooth. And you might wonder why I'm doing it in the dark, but it's just because the camera does seem to cope better with things in the dark. Now we've got 3 main buttons. It's pretty much the same as that we had on the front. You've got the laser button in the middle, you've got close, and then you've got open. If you keep and press and hold the laser button in the middle, it will do a full cycle where it will do a full open. So I'm just going to do it over here just so that you can see. But if I press the button for the laser, you'll see the lasers come on the side and flash. You can see now that it's doing a full open. And that is it now in its full open mode. And the same again if we press and hold the middle button, you see the lasers flash. Once it's changed red, you can let go of the button and then it will do a full close. But with the app, what you can also do is do partial opens. And what we can do is press stop, well, let go, and then you can see the lights change because it'll only be red when it's actually in the motion. The white lights throb as they, you'll see it will go dim in a second, he says. But they do go on and off. But if we wanted to open it a little bit more, we can do, the lights change red, get it into the position that we want. And there you go, you see the lights have gone on and off there. And we can go right the way if we want. You can literally get it to the point that you want and then you can just stop it. Quite simple. And same again if we want to go the opposite way. Get to the point that we want, spot on. You can change the lights if you want. You've got a brightness and a speed change there. But the other settings that we've got, we can disable the lights altogether. Oh, come on fingers. There we go, so we've disabled the lights there. And you can also disable the lasers if you want as well. That's my fault, there we go. Right, so we can disable the lasers. So whereas before, when I was opening and closing it, you were seeing the lasers on the desk. Now if I do it, you'll see that we've got no lights, no lasers at all. So you can literally go in and, you know, if you don't want the lasers on the desk, you get them all the way round. It's just they are quite wide, and I actually don't have a desk that will show you all of the lasers square all the time, but you can get the idea. It does look, when it's got those red lights on, that it's something, you know, kind of out of hell or something like that. But I do personally seem to like the semi-open version, and then the lights just kind of highlight inside, and that does make the anodized red that you can see look amazing. Now why we have got it, because in the dark it's actually quite a good time to get a look, because it highlights the inside really, really well, but at the same time you get the nice shadows from the outside. Oh, wrong way, Tom. You will see now the drop as the base goes in. And then when it's finished, the lights will change colour. They go back to white, and you can see that it's almost like a skyscraper beaming out of the top. It's all quite a cool effect. So we've just turned the case round just so that you can see it from a different angle, and we're just going to run through the cycle again. It's just so that you get a better view of the opening and the closing to see how crazy this thing is. Now if I was to stop now, you get the better idea of how it lights up the inside. You can see the red, you can see the highlights. I actually do like the fact it doesn't stay red all the time. I think that would be a shame. I would prefer to leave the lights on permanently or off as well, rather than them throbbing. I've not been able to work out how to do that with the app yet. But if we run through the rest of the cycle, there you go, you can see it in the fully open position. It's also a really nice way with the lights on, because obviously during the day it does look very different, and it can be difficult to get the camera to show you what's going on inside. And I personally think that this gives you, the night view, gives you a really good view of what's going on without having to worry about the studio lights and all that type of thing. It's also quite a good representation of the colours as well. Although my camera skills are obviously amazing and we weren't quite in the middle, you do get the idea. And if you want to go in even further so that you can have a properly good look, good old Tom with a shaky camera, there you go. But if we were to come right out again, what we can do is grab the app and we'll go through a full close. And then, as I said before, when it's completely closed, you get the lights change. You know it's finished. Boom. done. You obviously don't have to use this app. You can use the buttons on the front of the, I suppose we should call it a case. What I've just done there is you can press the tap at the top and it just gives you the laser show. Now they are literally everywhere when I turn them on because it's beaming off the sides. I've already shown you where the lasers themselves are, but again, it's just really nice where it's dark. We can show you what those lasers look like, and it all is a bit bonkers. So we are going to have a lot of jiggery pokery when it comes to this case, because to move it I really need to close it, and there's a lot of different angles for me to show you, and it's actually quite tall. In its current position now on my desk, it's about my shoulder height. So there's a lot of height there, and my tripod isn't really that tall. So we're going to have to try as best as we can to get things covered. So start pointing things out. When it is open like this, you do have your PC in what we'll call the main chamber. All the motors and the mechanism, as I showed you in the dark section, is all hidden around down the bottom, and really all of the gubbins for your PC is kept in the top, and that's all what maneuvers and motors around. This bottom section actually does raise and fall as well when the side panels close. So essentially you've got like a big flower, and then the PC kind of rises up and tilts from the inside. Now, because it's your PC, it's almost kind of, for the best way I can put it, it's actually quite a generic layout on the inside. You have your power supply at the bottom. The power supply can be fitted either way as well. I've actually gone with the fan up version. There is quite a bit of room that you could have to be able to have the airflow from the other side. Doesn't really matter. I've just gone with it this way because on the bottom of the RMX there's a big sticker, so it's something that you can see. But if you don't have to have your PC fully up or fully down, so you might actually want, if you're going to run it open, you might actually want to have the grille more visible on the underside. That's one of the quite unique features about this case, is you can actually have it the other way around and make it part of a feature. Then we've got our main section for the motherboard, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in total slots for your graphics card. So you can go with a slightly longer board if you wanted, not full XL, but you've got that one. So if you were running quad SLI, for example, you could hang a card off of the bottom and it would be there. It will be very close. You're only going to have about a slot's gap for the power supply, but the case isn't. It's big because it raises up, but it's not actually, that internal section isn't that big really. In the top, I know people are already looking at me and wondering why there's only 2 fans in the top, and I have done this on purpose because it's something that I want to cover, and we will get there. So we do know that we were all open at the back, so we have no fan. There is no fans at the front either. This is the back of the power supply switches and all of your USBs that I spoke to you about previously. I've actually got the cables tucked up on the inside because, to be honest with you, the cables, when I was trying to do it earlier on, when you get the USBs out, with the SSDs here, my USB 3, I have one that has to go in this way, and then I have one that has to go in above. And if you've got a right angled USB 3, I couldn't actually get my USB 3 cable fitted with the solid state drive there. Right, so this is one of those instances where a camera move was required. I can't actually get my USB 3 cable fitted with a solid state drive there. Now a lot of motherboards are coming with right angled fittings now. It is going to be very dependent. We have got the Asus Maximus 8 Extreme in this at the moment. It is the top end version. Obviously it's a ROG case as well, so that's why we've used it. Now you can use the normal right hand one, that's fine, but the like I said, the 90-degree ones are with solid state drives fitted, it's just not possible. The other thing that I wanted to talk about front panels, and while we are zoomed in, it's a good time. The front panel cables actually come like that. Now they are braided up to a certain point, but then they come out and you've got the stickers on them here. Now the stickers, I think, personally, shouldn't be here. I think we should have had some print on the end here. With a lot of other cases, that's what gets done. And I also think that they could have, even if not used black cables, braided them right the way up. You could have had some individual braid on these to go right from there inside, and then they could have put the connected braid over the top. And they've done it with all of these. Now that to me is, let's say, a missed opportunity, because it's never going to look tidy, and if you wanted to rebraid this yourself, you've got to cut it, and it's just something I think with a case that commands this much of a price, not much change from £1,900, remember, these kind of little details I would be expected to be absolutely perfect. While we are on this side though, one thing that we can see here is we've got the solid state drives. They are rather expensive Intel 750 solid state drives as well. Now you can see that one's one way up, one's the other way up, because the bottom two are one way round, the top two are the other way round. Now I've fitted them this way to prove a point, because if you fit them, the connectors would be on this side. So where the Intel badge is where the connector is. Now, if you fit them, this is the way that they have to be fitted on the top. We've got the connector on this side. You can't turn them round on the top because there isn't enough room. Now, these 750s, they're a bit thicker, but they're no longer. They're 2.5-inch drives, so the actual footprint is exactly the same as a normal solid-state drive. Now, I've put these in because they look pretty, they look expensive. It kind of fits in with the theme of the case. Bit mental. But if you were to use any other solid-state drive, and I can, grab a few, including another Intel one and Kingston one, just grabbing them out of the box. If you have a look, solid state drive, if you fit it the way that they want you to, upside down sticker, upside down sticker, Intel one again, upside down sticker. Now, like I said, you can't fit it the other way around because it clashes with the front. Now I put them this way round because down here I could just get them in. But then you can't actually run your cables or anything. There's no cable routing or anything this side. So it was mainly just me kind of showing you, these ones you can get in. These ones for some reason you can't get in at all. But even if you did put them round the right way, you then can't cable them up. So if you want to use these 4 removable, because there are little screws at the bottom and at the top, and they come off in 2 separate units. If you want to use those solid state drive mounts, sadly, you've either got to have them upside down, which again, for a case like this, which is going to be such a showpiece, would be such a shame. You couldn't actually use it without changing the labels on your solid state drives. Now, I obviously know quite a lot of people in the industry and stuff like that, and it is actually quite difficult to get genuine ones because it's weird to ask for some stickers. And it's something that's, they don't just have them in drawers laying around all over the place. So you'd end up wanting to make your own ones up. Again, not that difficult, but it takes some time. It's a bit of hassle, and it would be nicer if you could have just had them the right way round in the first place. We have got to the point now where, if, with the solid state drives mounted like this, if you wanted to have them that way round, you'd have to make the whole case a bit bigger. But one of the things I will say with making the whole case a bit bigger is, if we zoom in, now I know I have zoomed right in there, but we zoom right in, you can see this is your solid state, or your SATA connections, I should say. Now, there really isn't a great deal of room down here. I know that's making the camera go all blurry, but there isn't a great deal of room down here. So by the time you've got a SATA connector in, are you going to be able to get a solid state drive power cable in, if it's not a right angle one? And would you be able to get the other SATA cable in the other side? I would hazard a guess at probably not. There really isn't enough room there between those 4 to be able to comfortably get them, all of the cables in and all fitted. And with an external solid state drive, one of the things that you do need to remember is an external solid state drive needs an external SATA cable and external power. So this is all cabling that you need to introduce into these if you wanted to use them. I would also go as far as to say, personally, that you'd want to use these in pairs. You wouldn't want to just have a drive on. And I would also go as far as say, you know, maybe if you were going to go for this look, you'd probably end up wanting to buy 4. And the idea of having 4 is great, and it does look good like that. But the end reality of trying to use 4 mounted like this, once you've got the stickers and once you've got all the cabling problems and stuff there, you know, I can't get away from thinking that in my head, I probably wouldn't bother with these mounts at all. So this is quite a big missed opportunity. And again, it comes down to the finer details. It looks great, but trying to use them, it ends up getting frustrating. Good chance to have a look at the top. Now we do have a lovely, it's dual layer. You've got 2 screws here and 2 screws down the bottom. So you can just about, and it is tight, you do have to give it a bit of a wiggle and moving it around. You can remove this section and remove your fans and your radiator. You can also see that because it's 2 layer, if you wanted to, you could maybe put some carbon fibre film behind this or paint it a different colour. You've got some customising options there. But yes, I have got an AIO in the roof, but it was because I wanted to show you something. And this is the, if you did run an AIO, this is actually the only way that you can fit it, because you have to have the radiator with the hoses poking out of this end. Now, if you're going to use a water cooling radiator, it's the same. But the reason why I've left an AIO in there is because you couldn't fit it the other end, because there would be, it fouls on the end of these clips. Now, literally, this way looks better to have 3 fans fitted. So I understand why there's 3 hoops at the top. And if you had cut these out, you'd be able to see the gaps in the fans and all that type of stuff. So I'm not saying that this is necessarily something wrong with the design or anything like that. I'm just trying to point it out that if you guys at the, you know, wanted to run this with an AIO, there's no reason why you shouldn't. I know a lot of people are going to be screaming now, going, "Oh yeah, but if you spent this much money, full water cooling." And I would agree with you, but AIOs are very simple and they do give you good temperatures. So if you did want to go down that route, what I would say is either stick another fan in this end so that you wouldn't see it, although when you look from above, you'll notice. But you can get some triple fan AIOs on the market now. There are a few manufacturers doing it. Swiftech, EK, Fractal do one. I know there's a few of the Acertec OEM triple models out there. So if you did want to go AIO for simplicity, and let's face it, there is going to be a lot of movement in this case, so it may, you know, give you peace of mind, then get one of the triple ones because it will look better in the long run. If you're going to go custom water though, one of the things I will say, and this was something that surprised me greatly, is there isn't actually that much room above here. So I think it's probably best if we move the case now, and I'll try and show you. Right then peeps, so from this view, what I'm going to show you is the total depth. And if we put that there like that, you're looking at about 70 millimeters, but that's including fans. If we go up to this side, then you've got roughly 40 millimeters of radiator room possible, because the radiator roughly sits where the tape is. So you've got, essentially, most important thing, the reason why we're here, got the tape measure out, is in the roof you've got enough room to have a 360 millimeter wide rad with a maximum size of 40 millimeters thick. So the view from around the back of the case, and we'll get you a little bit more lined up. Obviously I should have done that before, but hey, TTL video. So, view from around the back, you can see that we have this exclusion area, because when the case comes over into its final position, it rests down on this nice big beam. Now, it does mean that you do end up with some problems with your cables. I would say that if you're going to be running custom cables, these are cable mod cables, if you're going to be running custom cables, also get yourself an 8-pin extension. Doesn't need to be very long. If you're going to be making your own cables, then if you're making them rather than re-sleeving them, make the 8-pin a bit longer, because rather than coming down, you really need to go right round the outside of the board. Now, when it comes to coming around the outside of the board, you can see that you do have some cable tie downs here that you can use, but it means that you have to loop a cable tie around, and you can see them from the other side. You can get away with the way that I've done it. I've not run into any issues with it this way, but obviously I've not been open and closing it every time mates come round or anything like that. But it is something to consider. So the other thing is around the back we do have a 3.5 inch optical 3.5 inch mechanical hard drive mount, so if you did want to have some storage in. The other thing I would be concerned about with this, and this is not a problem with the case, but this would be a problem with mechanical hard drives, as you've seen the mechanism, and when it comes down, if you were moving it a lot with the system on, it would then make me wonder about the longevity of your mechanical drive. So if you were planning on getting one of these and using it for a show system or something like that, I would probably err on the side of caution and go with a just some solid state drives, just for a little bit of safety, because you never know. Probably the old worrier in me, but anyway, that's it. When the rest of the case, basically, we slide down. This is the back view. You can see the cables. It does then go into, this is at the bottom where the power supply is. It's just on the other side here. So your cables, when they're round the back, I probably should have spent a little bit more time on the cabling, but I did have some zip ties run around, but I kept noticing them. So I went for a slightly prettier look round the other side than this. But if you did want to, there are a few of these notches. Now with the Maximus, it is slightly wider than a normal ATX board, so you'll want to get those cable ties in first, because you won't get them in afterwards, or at least it'll be a knuckle basher, and you'll get sprayed. Yeah, it'll get annoying. But some of the things with this case, where it is quite amazingly, it's quite small and compact. There isn't a lot of room to move. You probably will find that you're going to end up having to take things apart and put them back together again to be able to get things working, or to get things fitted properly and tidily. Anyway, but that is our view from round the back. I really do need to get a tripod, but I'm using the tripod that used to be my mum's, so any of the regulars will understand why I've tried to keep hold of it. Anyway, so that is our view there. I think now we should go for a conclusion. Right then, on to the conclusion. Is it the most mental case ever produced? Yes. And for that alone, the fact it is such a showstopper, it is mental, it does deserve the OC3D Innovation Award. I mean, how can you not say that that is innovative? Is it the most perfect case ever produced though? No, not really. Obviously, with a moving case, you're going to have to make some compromises, and they've had to keep things quite compact to be able to do it. I mean, this does weigh a lot. It's not as much as it said on the shipping manifest, because when the shipping manifest come and it does arrive on a pallet, and I'm not joking about that either, I mean a proper pallet. I had a class 2 truck turn up outside, and I was like, he's obviously lost. But no, it was, pardon me, this being delivered, and then it's on a pallet, all plastic wrapped, and then there's a box, and then it's a bit Russian dolls from that point onwards, because then it's a box in a box, but it's all basically to protect it when it arrives. So it's quite an event when it arrives in the first place. But my point was, on the shipping manifest, it said it weighed 53 kilos. Now, thankfully, it doesn't weigh that much even when it's fully built. Although, to be fair, my desk now, because I've been trying to bang it round as I've been moving it, it has totally knackered the legs. So I don't know whether I'm going to... I think it's actually the actual IKEA legs are now... Anyway, don't digress, Tom. Try and focus. So it does weigh a lot, and it is very difficult to move. Even empty, all of the weight is in the bottom. There's obviously a lot of steel arms down there. You've got the motors. So it's quite a difficult thing to move. And so if they'd have made it much bigger, then that would have obviously added weight. It could have even then, in the end of the day, made it a little bit more fragile as well, because you would have been spreading things out more. You may think that making it bigger would make it more burly, but then you're going to have larger flat surfaces, so it can twist and warp. So there may be some engineering reasons why it's this size, but that compactness has meant that the solid state drives are going to be incredibly difficult to use, which is a shame, because to have them all up like that I think looks lovely. And if they had have made the case a little bit longer, you could have wired them up properly with the and I would have said that you would have ended up, remember I showed you that it was right near the motherboard. I'd say that the cables needed to be the other side, so that you could have had the solid state drive stickers with pretty much every one available the right way up and cabled nicely. And also the thing that you need to think as well is if you wire them the other side, it's quite difficult to get very, very short SATA cables. So if you wire them the other side, you can actually lose some of the SATA cable length when you go around the back. So that's going to help you with keeping the cabling tidy on the other side, because you obviously don't want miles and miles of cables all hanging out because of that mechanism around the back. Same with your power cables as well. When it comes to SATA power cables, they're normally on a daisy chain, but to make them look tidy in this, so that you didn't have a mid-place cable and then it all twisted round and then the other cable coming out of it, you'd want a dedicated SATA cable for each of these, or at least kind of a spur that came out from maybe a single cable on the power supply, but then just one SATA cable on each of those splits, so that you could keep things tidy. That you're going to have to get custom made if you end up doing that. But it is I did find personally that the solid state drive area was a massive missed opportunity, because there's no way really that you can use those and them be tidy, to the point that I personally probably would have gone with hiding them entirely. And obviously if you were going to use this as an end user, because let's not forget, I've only got this as a review sample and I've actually got a very small window of time with it as well. So I've gone with this to be able to work with my scheduling and the amount of time that I can actually spend on it, because I only got told that it was arriving the day before it was going to turn up. So anyway, enough excuses, Tom. I've done what I can with it, but I would probably end up removing the solid state drives and having like a reservoir down there or something. With the water cooling as well, that's something else that you do need to think about, is there's obviously, you'll never get all the air out of a water cooling system. You are going to need to have it quite filled if you're then going to start tipping it on its side quite regularly. And for all those water coolers out there, you'll know what I'm on about, the way that if you tip your case on the side and you've got that little bit too much air in your reservoir, and then suddenly the air's then disappearing out around your loop. So that's something you're going to have to consider when you start building these things as well. The other thing that I think was, again, a bit of a missed opportunity is the 40mm maximum thickness in the radiator at the top. Now, yes, you can get a 360 up there, that's fine, and it probably will cool your system amply, but the more radiators, or the thicker the radiators that you can use, the lower the fan speeds that you can get away with using. So that most of us, when we end up water cooling a system, especially with a couple of graphics cards, will have a couple of radiators on there. And you may think, yes, GPUs have got a lot more efficient. We end up doing it not because that's the amount of radiators that we need to cool the system, but that's the amount of radiators that we need to hardly have our fans spinning. And that's generally what we end up doing. So if you were going to go full water cooling on this, you probably will end up having to run your fans either a little bit faster, or get used to the fact that your temp's going to be a little bit warmer. And it's probably the temperatures are going to show on the CPU more than the GPUs, because GPUs love water, but the CPU will probably end up running a little bit, or at least noticeably hotter than it might have done if you had a thicker radiator, or maybe have got another one in there somewhere. But at the end of the day, I mean, it gets away from the point. I have to treat it like a case because it is a case, but you do get away from the point that this is something totally unique. There isn't anything else like it. The designer was obviously someone that was just either doing a lot of recreational things in his spare time and maybe warped his brain a little bit, or he was watching and playing a lot of Transformers and went to work hell-bent on the fact that he wanted to create something similar for the PC market. And good on you, mate. Honest to God, I love this thing. It is brilliant. But there is an overwhelming feeling that I've got with this, that all of the ideas are there, but it was just kind of, it was almost like the final push to get things polished off wasn't quite there. They kind of got everything in and then it's done. But then when it comes to someone that's actually trying to work with it and build with it, that's when the frustrations, like I said, with the solid state mounts, for example, that's something for me that's, yes, we'll leave it there. Solid state drives, we get it, Tom, it's frustrating, we'll work something out. Fine, brilliant, so we'll leave that. Cooling, would have been nice to have had a thicker radiator in the roof. But like I said, this I think personally is going to be like a lottery winner's case. It's £1,900, give or take. I think it's £1,888 or £98, available from several places online. And there aren't very many either, so don't go thinking I'll buy one in 6 months, because there probably won't be any. I think there's either 2 or 4 red ones, red and black ones in the country total, and 2 or 4 titanium ones in the country total, and that's it. So they are very sparse, but let's face it, you're not going to be doing a massive run on this, are you? So I do love it. It is bonkers, and that's why it gets the Innovation Award. To be honest with you, I'd like to have a go at building one for a personal rig as well. And by a personal rig, I mean, if I was to water cool this, for example, I would have to drill holes, cut holes. I'd have to do quite a bit of work with it to get things in, you know, mounting pumps and all that type of thing. So for a review sample, when there literally is one review sample going around all the press, if I sent it back full of holes, then InWin would have an absolute heart attack about it, and they wouldn't be very happy with me at all. But if I was going to use it myself, yes, I would probably I would go full water with it, and I would spend a lot of time trying to make it work, and it would be great. You've obviously got to have a massive amount of area on your desk as well, because it's not the type of thing where you can have your monitor right next to it. It almost needs its own round table in like a presentation thing, so that when your friends come in, it's almost got that kind of imaginary glass dome over the top of it, and you come, oh yes, come and have a look at my case, look what it does. This is what we do in the evenings. And you know, it is quite quite an event, really. I've mentioned to a couple of my friends locally that I've got it, and I think probably this evening one of them's coming around quite literally just to come and have a look and watch it, because that's the type of thing that it does. But in 6 months' time, will it still have the kind of the buzz around it? Or is it just going to end up being that it's just going to be something that you play with when you're drunk, or you know, you end up showing all the couriers and the postman and stuff? Time will tell. I personally think that this is going to be the type of thing that motherboard manufacturers are going to end up using at shows, and it's going to be one of those things that's going to be a proper showcase thing, because it does carry such a high value, and it does have the shock tactics to work very well in the show scene. But anyway, OC3D Innovation Award. Some of the finer points, some of the really tiny, finer details that add up, in my opinion, to a bigger package, needed a bit of work, bit of a missed opportunity there to have made it from being something that was quite mental, but then could have almost been perfect. But, you know, just kind of fell at the final hurdle. I've been as nice as I possibly can do about it. I think the fact that I said that I'd actually like to have one of these on my desk, and I will say right at the end now that we've got here, if I was going to have one of these on my desk, then I'd probably end up getting the titanium one, because then you get the, you're not going to be locked into the red, and I don't personally like the fact that it's got red aluminium and then you've got the red LEDs, although they do go white when it's not moving, so that's not too much of a bad thing. But I do like the idea of the RGBs, full RGBs, that you can control when it's moving and when it's open and all that type of thing as well. And the other thing is we've obviously got the black and red model here because it's the ROG model, but ROG have kind of recently thrown a bit of a spanner in the works, where it does look, and the hint is that all of their very high-end stuff that is going to be coming out is going to be coming out with that bronze detailing on it. Now, at the moment, the Maximus Extreme Assembly is the bronze one, and the GTX 980 Ti is bronze, but you can still get the 980 and the normal Extreme in red. So that's another strange thing, that if you ended up getting this and you wanted to go black and red, you couldn't get the top end Asus board. You'd need to go for the one back just to get your red and your black combo in. So that again in itself is kind of a bit of a, you know, I don't know. But if you did want to go Maximus Extreme Assembly and you go with that all that orange malarkey, then you just get the titanium one, which is kind of the reason why I'd lean towards it, because then that also works with the other brands, and if you put a white board in there, it would still work, yellow, blue. You get what I'm trying to say. Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you. I hope you've enjoyed the spectacle, the madness, the event that is the InWin H Tower. Properly good thumbs up for someone being brave enough to do something like this, knowing full well that they're not going to sell hundreds of thousands of them, and it's just going to be a very limited thing. So for all of you trolls out there harping on about the price, get back under your bridge. I know I can't afford one either, but someone tried to do it. It's like a Bugatti Veyron, or whatever they've just called that new one. It's like the Porsche 918. It's like the McLaren. It's like the Ferrari, whatever it was called. All those hybrid, super expensive cars. They don't make those to sell those like Fiestas that fall off of the assembly line and everyone has them. They make them because they can. And that deserves a thumbs up. In fact, it deserves a little bit more. It deserves an innovation award. Anyway, I nearly forgot. I was ready to press the button then. I nearly forgot. I need to say the words because people lose their mind if I don't. This is Tiny Tom Logan with another video for you. Out.